Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe if you are enjoying what you are hearing. Now, on to today's story. What were the red flags you missed in retrospect? Looking back, what were the signs you might have missed or ignored that things were not really okay? For me, low empathy and compassion. I thought it was funny she didn't really care about people but still loved me so much. Looking back, it meant I could easily fall to the other side too when things got rough. She was always busy with her own life and didn't show a lot of interest in my emotional well-being. She was never single. Looking back, I realized she just monkey branched from one relationship to the next her entire life. Small lies. She would never apologize but furiously defend herself when caught in a lie. The love bombing. Absolute red flag, and I got sucked into that. Talking about the ex all the time. Not being able to talk about emotions falling apart over conversations that are slightly stressful. Having a breakdown over anything I wanted to talk about. Distancing emotionally from me and my kid, TBH, it just goes on and on. Lol, I just made excuses until I said no more to put up with it. Really will learn from this. His ex-wife only moved out beginning of last year. I didn't know this till halfway into the relationship. If I knew this then yes, I would have walked. This hit me hard. I hope you heal from it all. It's hard work but worth it in the end. Cannot wait for North Carolina tonight and leaving it all behind. He was emotionally distant, practically ran out the door to spend time with his family and friends, never complimented me, instead made jokes about how I was fat, left all the planning of dates and day trips to me, did not offer to pay even half for dates, wanted me to pay for extra car insurance cover so he could drive my car, bragged about slacking off at work, did not give a damn when I came down with a pretty bad cold, did not respect my physical boundaries. She was never single either. Literally moved through my friends without me knowing. I was on the end of the chain. Once I had fallen for her, I found out. I took the time to put my pride aside and love her as she was, because that was the past and someone can always make the future better. It killed me, made me feel like the last choice. Now I just feel like the one dumb enough to fall for her. She ended up cheating. We broke up. She came back begging for me to stay with her, so I forgave her and just asked for some time to heal. She dumped me 3 days later, and it's only been a little over a month and she's already banging some other guy. She's still asking all my friends about me though. That's the most ducked part. Damn man. I'm sorry. So similar to my story. Found out she cheated, forgave her when she came begging, told me she realized I was the one that made her happy. Week later she dumped me for someone else she was chatting up in the meantime. He spent the night in her bed 4 days after she dumped me. The best thing about not being with her was noticing all these red flags. I still love her. I always will, but realizing the pain she put me through combined with her immaturity about relationships has helped ease my pain, because I wouldn't want to be stuck with someone like that with the rest of my life. She was trying to marry her even after she cheated. We both dodged a bullet. You really did. Those who hop relationship to relationship and never process the breakup are usually insecure and damaged, but don't believe they're ever at fault. It's an endless cycle that only ends in self-destruction. I wish you well, friend. You're so much better off. Thank you, friend. What doesn't kill us will always make us stronger. He would make observations about me and my behavior, store them in his mind, internally come up with stories and reasoning behind my behavior, and then bring them up to me the next day or even the next week in an accusatory fashion so that I would be in the defensive. Example, we were putting together a cheese board, which was super fun, and I wanted to make it extra pretty for pictures, so I spent extra time being meticulous about it. The next day he brings it up saying I was stressing out over the cheese board and I need to stop being such a perfectionist. Because I wanted to see the best in him and believed he had my best interest in mind, I thought he was just expressing a genuine concern, but when I tried defending myself, saying that I wasn't stressed over a damn cheese board, and was enjoying making it pretty, he wasn't really hearing any of it. That is one example of many. I don't even know if he was aware that he does this. At best, it's a sign of serious immaturity and insecurity. At worst, it was manipulative, trying to paint a situation as something it wasn't, thus making me question myself. If he truly thought there was a problem, he could have shared the observations with me and then asked me why I was acting that way. It's like he never wanted to understand me, just wanted to accuse me of something. Amen. He would always say, he has data points that he draws together. But he could draw them for anything. I left mayo out, and that was a data point of why I wouldn't be a clean person in the future. Sure, this kind of makes sense, but it was something simple like you said to bring up. If he wanted me to put the mayo up, I would. He was bothered by anything anyone said. I hear that. My ex would find all these tiny ways to criticize me and I just tried to ignore them thinking she wasn't great at teasing. But the joking always had barbs that hurt. He had a girlfriend when I met him. Told me they had an open thing because she was long distance. Based on her reaction, I think she was probably not aware of that, but I chose to believe him. He lied to his mother a lot. I thought it was to protect himself because she was very demanding. But lying is lying. He told me he cheated before. I thought he changed for me. Lol. I'm such a cliche, he went out and often dodged my calls, but I am not a control freak, I was just worried. For years I knew something was off and it turned out I was right. Once a cheating asshole, always a cheating asshole. Love bombing and talking shit about his ex in the beginning. Looking back, huge red flags. I can only imagine what he says about me now. Similar to yours. She had constantly jumped between relationships, even met me while dating a guy. Would talk shit about her exes. The love bombing missed that too. Her lack of long-time friends, and the way she jumped from friend group to friend group. Her getting defensive when I said her friend was disrespectful but not defending me when that friend insulted me. Saying stuff like I'm a bad person, I know you're going to leave me one day, I didn't really love him, but I love you. I missed a lot. She ended up dumping me and immediately started dating the aforementioned friend. Tried to stay friends with me because she never told me about her new relationship, then when I called her out on it she said you should have seen it coming, I always preferred him. Which, looking back, is kinda true. I missed all the signs. She talked about how her and her ex was planning to have a baby when we started dating. She was never able to open up and talk about her feelings, would always downplay it and act like it was nothing. She went through my phone when I was sleeping, cause she didn't believe I didn't cheat on her. She told me I couldn't see certain friends because she didn't believe they were just my friends. Showed up at my work to check out the other girls I worked with to see if she should feel threatened by other women. Always wanted me to tell her how good she looked or something nice about her. I was basically a rebound she fell in love with and left when the grass was greener somewhere else after 4 years. She always gaslighted me for losing weight or really enjoying my hobbies because I lost weight and she didn't. Told me I was too skinny, didn't eat enough, etc. Would always tell me I looked better when we met even though I was a lot healthier later in our relationship. She always made me feel bad when she didn't get her way, so I always gave in so she could get what she wanted. He was a serial dater. When he was in high school, love bombing, talked badly about his exes, he constantly went from job to job and could never settle down. Awful communicator, rushed into a relationship with me shortly after meeting me. Not really a red flag, but I always remember in one of my old relationships, sitting watching 500 Days of Summer with her and her mum. Spoiler: during the scenes where she is messing him around and he is quite clearly in love with her, I remember me and her mum saying that she just didn't realize she was in love with him, etc., while my girlfriend defended the female character and claimed they weren't right for each other. As the film went on, I remember looking at her face while she was watching it, and I think we both realized at the exact same time during it, that the film was basically showing our relationship and that both characters were effectively us. We didn't break up immediately after that, but it sort of still makes me laugh to this day how accurate that film's portrayal of love is. I'm sometimes a hopeless romantic, and the expectation versus reality scene brings back far too many memories to this day. Funny one, but he definitely a wake up. How he raised/owned his dog. He wasn't bad to her by any means. He loves her, and gives her attention and affection when he is home with her. But he absolutely doesn't meet her needs. She's a husky. She spends 10 to 12 plus hours a day at home alone with access to a tiny fence-in yard and a food bowl. She's not trained. She can't behave ever. She's 6 and still pees on the carpets. She never gets the walks or exercise she needs. She is aloof, so he's under the impression that she's fine, she fends for herself, she's used to this life, she's happy. So basically, when he's with her he loves and cares for her, but otherwise he's cool just letting her be alone and living a boring lonely life with no enrichment. In the end he was the same way with me. I was conveniently around when he wanted to spend time together, but if he had other things to do, I was completely forgotten and left to entertain myself. When he realized he needed to put in effort towards meeting my needs, he chose to just leave instead because it was easier. When I adopted my dog, I did so with the intention of giving her the best life possible. I planned everything around her, and I spent months training her so that she could come almost everywhere with me, and enjoy life with me. Not waiting at home to be an activity in my day. In the end I just felt like an activity in his day and not a partner in his life. Did we date the same guy? Or are they like brothers or something? My ex had a dachshund, super sweet and loyal dog, especially to him. He kept her locked in her kennel during his 12-hour shifts, which he worked 5x days a week. She only had bathroom breaks 2x a day, and usually those were short walks, so surprise, surprise, she was incredibly fat. I used to take her for longer walks when I was over at his place, but most she couldn't handle. I still think about her. It breaks my heart. Similar to your ex, he wasn't abrasive to her. He obviously loves her, but very lazy, and therefore neglectful. At the end of our relationship, when it was getting tougher and the honeymoon phase was almost done, he saw that it also took too much effort and split. Those poor dogs. But a good lesson for us: how well they treat their pets can be a sign on how devoted they are. If they're lazy with them, they're likely lazy with relationships. Uck. She has so much potential to be a good dog too. I was furloughed over the summer. So I would pick his dog up 2/3 times a week and work on off-leash training and recall with her on long 2 to 3 hour walks in the woods with my dog. Also manners in my house, and not barking/howling for attention. She learned really quickly that I would give her all of the fun things if she just followed a few rules. She was getting tons of exercise and wasn't misbehaving. He couldn't understand why she obeyed me and not him, and why she acted so excited to see me every time I saw her. Then, he decided that she was misbehaving because she was mad that she wasn't with me living the good life, so he asked me to stop picking her up and taking her for long off-leash walks. So I stopped. And it broke my heart because I knew then that I could never live with that dog the way she was, but I also wouldn't have the opportunity to train her first if we were ever going to live together. I'm actually relieved about that part. Poor dog. Her life is fine as it is. She's fed and at least has access to the outdoors and a warm bed. But she could have it so much better if he just put in a tiny bit of effort. My ex had a German Shepherd with her ex and took her when they broke up, We also started dating immediately after they broke up. She was always stressed out by the dog and she never walked her. She'd just drive over to a field and set her loose for about 20 minutes. I can only remember a handful of times that I saw her affectionate with the dog. Mostly it was discipline for being naughty, which is pretty normal when the dog isn't getting enough exercise. Then, when life got busy for her, she gave the dog back to the ex and never saw the dog again. I was floored. Why I didn't see that as the biggest warning, I have no idea. I could never abandon my dog to a situation that I knew it wouldn't be well taken care of. This dog was a surprise gift given to him by his ex. Huge eye roll, who the duck surprises someone with a husky. She gave the dog a stupid name she made up too. When they split, she said that the husky was too much to handle and took the better behaved dog and left him with this one. So besides the fact that he doesn't meet the dog's needs and she is a huge pain in the ass, she also reminded me every time I saw her that he was engaged to in love with someone else before me, and I was stuck caring for that girl's stupid dog. Also, I love dogs. Just not hyper untrained ones who howl for 12 hours a day. He didn't have any friends in a town he had been living in for 3 years. It's a small town, but he had burned bridges with everyone. Also, how he didn't trust the government, and blamed shit on fate. I had an ex like this, my older kid's dad. No friends, no community. Conspiracy theorist. Only wanted to claim benefits and hated the government at the same time, rolling eyes face, friends with her exes. Essentially we broke up, because I didn't want her hanging out with them. Then she wanted to be friends with me but still do everything we were doing. My theory is that she wants a polyamorous relationship, but doesn't want to scare people off initially by telling them. She had one of her ex-friends over a week after she wanted to take a break. She was infuriated I wouldn't remain her friend, but the reason is obvious to me. With my recent ex, she had 3 failed marriages, and several broken engagements. Her latest being with a fiancé she had, who she dumped 2 weeks before my first date with her. She was also rarely ever single, and a former friend of hers told me she got around, and cheated on her latest ex-fiancé quite a bit. She had a very sordid past that involved drug abuse and domestic abuse. She was uncomfortable with affection, and would always push me away if I hugged or cuddled with her too long. She never did any wrong in her own mind, and everything was always everyone else's fault, especially if you were a man. Oh, I have a few. He told me he loved me the 3rd time we met up, during sex. He insisted he was always right. His longest relationship was 5 years. After that he only had hookup and relationships that lasted 2 months, all of which he broke up. Am I the only one sensing commitment issues? Had constantly text this ex of 5 years, begging her sex, when she has someone, and constantly told him to leave her alone. This was before him and I had met. They actually met up occasionally, so talk about lack of morals. Told me his ex was great in bed and he was jealous of her life after we starting of sex the first time. I told him I was tired and he kept going. He went through my phone when I was out of the room. Told me he was going to marry me on our 5th time meeting. The only dates we went on were going to fast food joints and watching him game. I mean, it was fun, but he was 28 and he broke up telling me I was immature. I imagine he still does this every day since he dumped me. I texted him I was really hurt and he said, "Yeah, I am too, so don't expect me to comfort you." He never had an issue, or he never communicated the issues he had until one day he told me I had a bunch of red flags. I asked him what they were and he got super pissed. I told him I couldn't fix them if I didn't know. He sent me a long message saying I was immature, insecure, horrible and insane, and ended it with, "Sorry, but you asked, so don't complain to me." Yeah, excellent communication skills. Top notch. She got engaged to the last guy she was with at 23, we're both 24 now, and live with him. They broke up few months after that, She told me she hates him and wants to forget about him. She never even told me that she was engaged to him, but I found out through mutual friend. Love bombed me at beginning, not as in telling me that she loves me, but that we agree about everything. Can't wait to travel all around the world with me. She had a picture of me as a background on her phone after knowing each other for a month. Had bad relations with most of her family, divorced parents. She said herself that people told her she never thinks how other people feel when she does something. She dropped out from first university after 2 weeks, then enrolled into a second one, went there for 4 years and dropped out when she had only 2 exams left to get her best A. Impulsiveness, lack of commitment. It was always my fault, she never apologized. At the beginning she said she had a lot of baggage, that she got over it, but she doesn't want to speak about it because it makes people run away and she doesn't want to lose me. Tried to change my appearance little by little. She said I'm very hot, but I should not wear my glasses, I only wear them while I'm home lol, I should get a different kind of haircut etc. And with everything said, I still miss her, kinda sad. She never even told me that she was engaged to him, but I found out through mutual friend. Yikes. The same happened with my dumper. In fact, the fight about that signaled the downfall of everything after. Super intense way of loving that I was overwhelmed by. Not making time for me during long breaks. Not understanding my needs for type and level of love and meeting me where I was. Too focused on me and our bubble and not enough on integrating into each other's lives. I call it the long distance vacation love bubble. It's not reality. She snooped through my phone with her toxic friend when I left it unlocked at a party. She got upset after reading my texts with another girl before we agreed to date. I blocked the girl following this. I found out she was still snooping months later when her toxic friend said, "Why are you Googling X and why about your girlfriend?" She logged into her ex's Snapchat to sabotage his new attempts at talking to new girls and did not consider this was unacceptable behavior. Her ex got angry and she made herself out to be the victim, filtered the truth to her family to get sympathy. Her stepdad kicked her out of the house for poor work ethic. She showed the same poor work ethic through the relationship. I bailed her out with a loan whilst she wasn't working and she dragged out repayments, very disrespectful. She asked her ex to help her move out of her old house after she refused my offer to help. Her friend said she should come clean and she replied to her that she'd deal with it if I found out. I forgave this as I considered it her closure to move on, and she blocked him from everything after. She kept disrespecting my boundaries regarding me time. Invading my space after agreeing she wouldn't. I would periodically catch glimpses of her Snapchat, not on purpose, to her toxic friend in which it was clear she was degrading me and making herself out to be a victim to something I'd done, but not told me about. She got super upset when she found a condom wrapper behind the bed that I had used with her. She also got super upset when she found a sock in the washing that she refused to accept was hers, though certainly was. She love-bombed me, which is why I put up with all these red flags, as she made me feel genuinely loved. I did not realize this itself was the biggest red flag. Now I know I was a rebound, but at the time I didn't know much about rebounds. Feel an idiot in hindsight. She said she wanted a baby pretty early on. This was the only thing she had any ambition about. She had no ambition to work. She was clumsy, which is fine. But she never cleaned up the mess she made in my home and never offered to replace stuff she broke. When I said it was disrespectful behavior, she called me controlling. She would ask my opinion and 95% of the time ignore it and ask her family instead. She asked me to fix her car, then say her granddad said I should do something differently. She hung off the advice of her friends and only friends who were toxic, but she's always found disagreement with my advice. She was the most stubborn person I've ever met. She would not be told what to do. She could not be talked to reasonably. If she disagreed with me, she would ignore me rather than discuss or compromise. Arguments were always my fault. What triggered me was shrugged off, and the focus was always how I reacted. She would not acknowledge that there was a reason I was upset. She twisted my words to make it sound like I was attacking her character when I was trying to express my feelings. She was always the victim. She never apologized for her part even after I did, but always threw it in my face that I never apologized, which was untrue. I ignored so many red flags I feel stupid. She accidentally got pregnant and I felt trapped by my decision to ignore the issues and wanted to make it work for the baby's sake. When the baby came, she treated me as if I was insignificant. My opinion did not matter. Mother knows best. Everything I did was wrong. This is what broke the camel's back, as she not only made me feel shit as a partner but also as a father too. The total 180 she would do with moods. 1 minute she is all over me, loving, caring, calling and messaging. The next, if we had any form of disagreement, she didn't like what I said, she went cold. For days on end. I'm here trying to help her, fix our issues, work through them. She wants space. She has nobody to speak to other than her therapist, who she sees maybe once a fortnight. I always get a phone call a few days after she speaks to her therapist when we are in this state of mind. He didn't have a lot of friends. He kept saying he hates to be around people. He refused to admit that he's wrong or that he needs psychological assistance. He judged people always, how they wear, talk, where they go. He's a lot into details. He has a lack of self-confidence, and he doesn't even trust people. He was always negative. Lack of empathy. He never understands when I say, it's true I'm always smiling and happy, but deep down I'm so broken and sad I've lost my father and my mother. He insisted on checking my phone. I should have left him that moment. How much I regret I didn't do it, and that moment, I've wasted a lot of time. He was too complicated. Vulnerable narcissist. Yeah, I think he is. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Have an awesome day or night, wherever you are.